still wonder, like you were a core reviewer in Keystone, for instance, and you were also a PTL, and you were talking about how at one point the contributor base started to shrink. Do you think that there was anything that the team could have done in terms of nurturing new contributors, growing, the next generation of leadership? Do you think that there was anything there that you could have done differently, or what you would suggest a current project team who might be starting to face something like that effect as well, to try to, maybe not, you can't fully prevent it, but at least have it more graceful in terms of how the contributor base shrinks, or how hard it is sometimes to find the next set of maintainers and project leads?
I would say start early because it takes quite a while to build trust. So you need to mentor someone or help them for quite a long period of time before you can trust them enough to give them maintainership. However, the problem is that a project like OpenStack is mostly a corporate project. So the people that are usually working on it upstream are people who are assigned to work on it. In the US, at least, the average um, time that a person stays in their job is, I don't know, 3 years, I think. And if 6 years ago it was easy to switch from one job to the other and still be involved in OpenStack, these days it's significantly less easy to find more opportunities that are OpenStack related. Because I remember a lot of the people that I was working with in Keystone and in other OpenStack projects, they would be switching employers every couple of years, but they would still be part of the same team, the same community, attending the same events. You don't have that anymore. And unfortunately, being a project where you really have to be corporate sponsored, it's hard to just find people in the wild. And it's also uncertain whether those people in the wild are going to be sticking around for long enough that you can grant them maintainership and move on. And for Keystone specifically, that was the case. It, there were no other people that were doing the consistent contributions to show promise for, like, in a month from now or a few months from now, this set of people can be the new maintainers until, as I said, Red Hat stepped in and just assigned a bunch of people to work on Keystone. And for, I think, a period of a couple of months, 3 or 4 months perhaps, I was the only maintainer of Keystone. So it was hard and weird to be +2 merging patches by myself, um, submitted by other people. And I couldn't really submit patches myself and merge them myself. So that was a very weird situation to be in. Uh, Thankfully, we're out of that. But that was not a good time.
Do you think that part of the challenge is how, the corporations and people who are assigned to work on open source projects, that you have to just transfer that message that the maintainership is a servant role, and at the same time why it is so important to do and invest in? Do you think that message is hard to get through?
It's hard to get. Um, it's also, there isn't a clear messenger for it either,
Mm.
because um, like, the foundation can only do so much for convincing corporations to assign people to the project. And it's usually those people need to go beyond that and actually be interested and uh, have desire and be learning and growing from contributing so that they can uh, go beyond what they are assigned to work with, because I think it's easy to, or rather, you don't really have your manager breathing down your neck, counting how many reviews you've done or how many bugs you're fixes in a project that is not a part of their offering, but they're just doing out of a courtesy for perhaps a work relationship, or perhaps being required due to some contractual obligation with a foundation or something of that sort. So it's a really hard message to convey, because I think it's also the people specifically that need to see how welcoming a community is and how much they can learn from it, while at the same time proving to their managers and to the corporation that these people are now becoming an asset for you outside of their contributions, because they're being exposed to very smart people that they're gonna have access to them directly through IRC and mailing lists and conferences, and they can just learn as much, if not more, as from the internal mentorship and technical leaders that they themselves have in that corporation. So it really needs to be tackled on both sides, and I don't think uh, there's a really good story around how to do that.
Which is why we are doing this podcast, to have more of these stories out there, because overall it seems like that I mean, you had a very rich journey, and I think before I hit record, you were saying that you only have 8 years of open source experience, which sounded like you meant that it's like nothing, which is absolutely not true. And at the same time, what you accomplished within those 8 years, that's a full career path for someone else who's working in a corporate environment their whole life, and that's their 40-year journey. So just kind of talking about this and showing how you gained all the experience that you have in 8 years because you participated in a large global open source community, I think that kind of speaks for itself.
So I hope the level of experience I gain doesn't isn't proportional to the amount of white hair I will have in a couple more years. Because it definitely feels like I had a full career journey of 40 years just by the sheer diversity of things that you do as part of contributing to a community and maintaining an open source project. It's just the diversity of things and the diversity of challenges are not just things that you would be exposed to otherwise, or that you would be exposed in a much slow and perhaps more sustainable pace, rather than just being thrown into the responsibility and being told good luck. We'll be here, we'll help you, but it's a lot to take in, and you need to find someone else later to do the same
And the
thing
baton
that
too.
we're doing to you. Otherwise, you're just not gonna feel like you'll be able to move on, because you feel like you have like that guilt and responsibility, because it's your baby. You've been working on that thing for a while, and you cannot just let it be there.
I definitely had that feeling before. Yeah.
That's why they call it a community, because that's what you're part of.